everybody, and welcome back to another episode here on Shelf Media Society. This week we have Movie Worm, who is joining us on the show. Very, very pleased to have you on. Hope you are well. How's things?
Hi James, thanks for having me on, mate. Been looking forward to it, mate. So yeah, cheers.
No, really excited to have you on. You are very, very cool in the community. I love everything that you do, and really excited to actually get you on the show. So how would you say, well, I guess what would you say would be like the first thing that got you into physical media collecting, doing videos, etc., etc.? What was the thing that made you want to start creating content online and I guess doing this thing, on YouTube here?
Well, I just watched a lot of Blu-ray pickups videos for years, like way longer than before I started. Like it's been like 10 or 15 years ago. There's like people called Cool Dude, I don't know if you've heard of him. And I forgot it, the guy's channel name, but it used to be called Autumn Productions. His name's Dan. He's got his own channel now, but he's changed the name. I used to watch him a lot. And then I just started watching like loads of film reviewers and everything, and I just thought, you know what, I really would like to give this a go. But I was a little bit nervous, a little bit embarrassed at first. Don't know why, because everyone's on videos and stuff nowadays, aren't they? And I just give it a go. I done like a what you call it, like a test recording. Sent it to me, my cousin, showed my wife, and they both said, "Yeah, you're not bad at it. Why don't you just try it?" And it just went from there, really. And I thought, I love collecting. I love watching people collect, so maybe I can just try my hand at it. And then I started doing reviews and stuff as well. I've weirdly always wanted to be a film reviewer, even when I was a kid. So it's not just YouTube that sparked me doing them movie reviews. It found me a place to do that. But I've always wanted to review films all my life. I used to write them down and everything as a kid, in my little notebooks and everything. Yeah, I was just fascinated by film reviews. I used to buy the Radio Times booklet, where it had all the film scores in and everything, little summaries. I used to love reading all that. So I've always been into film reviewing and collecting, of course. So I just kind of merged them together and made that Movie Worm channel. And the name Movie Worm just came from Bookworm, really. I thought, why not change it to Movie Worm? Because I'm always into films and stuff. Just a little play on words, really.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Nice to know. I never knew that about Movie Worm, so to speak. But that totally makes sense, actually, in terms of the bookworm aspect.
Yeah.
And quite creative as well, so it's pretty cool. But yeah, so in terms of, I guess, as you say, everyone's kind of created nowadays or made on videos anyways. But I could totally relate to that, especially like a couple of years ago when, you think, oh, somebody from school finds my videos. It's like, oh, I don't really want to do videos online. But now it's a case of, I actually shout about it in a way, in a weird way, a little bit more than maybe I would have. So definitely can relate to that. So let's go back then in terms of way back, your first memory, I guess, of physical media collecting. Like, I'm assuming it's probably the same as me in terms of, with your parents and you'd have a VHS cupboard back at home, so to speak. Is that where it started for you, Sim as that?
Yeah, I had a few videos and stuff. Used to get some for Christmas, some for my birthday as a kid and everything. And I used to love like rewatching them. I think we all had that little sort of collection as a kid that we used to rewatch all the time. And like now I've got thousands, but just then I had like 20 to 30 that I used to rewatch all the time. And one day my dad just weirdly out of nowhere said, "Wouldn't it be great to have every film ever available to you?" And something just clicked in my head there where I said, yeah, I'm going to get some VHSs now and just make this big library in my room. And I did. I bought so many VHSs and stuff. And obviously, you can't have every film in the world. I don't think my dad realised how many films were actually made. But it just made me want to have all these films available to me. And if I couldn't get hold of them in the shops, because I didn't have money as a kid, mum and dad would buy me the odd one, but I used to tape them off the telly and everything and design my own little VHS covers and stuff like that. So I've always been into collecting, always. And then obviously DVD came along and stuff. But when Blu-ray came out, I really thought, I'm going to give this a real go now and just get a collection to be proud of, really. And your collection habits change over the years, I suppose. I mean, I used to try and just buy films if they were cheap. Like, if you see one of CEX for like 50p or a pound, I'd just go, I'm grabbing that.
Yeah.
Even if I didn't even know anything about the film. But I'm a little bit careful these days with how I collect. I don't want to just buy anything, you know what I mean? Any old crap, really. So yeah, I try to cater to myself these days, buying films I'm either interested in or that I've seen and I know I like. So yeah, it's just it's always been like a little bit of a rush when I buy a movie and stuff, or when it comes in the post. I've always just been into having that physical thing in my hand, really. So
Yeah.
yeah, and it went on VHS. I used to like study them and everything. Like I think I read the back of some of my Elm Street ones about 50 times each and stuff. So
Well.
yeah, I know it's kind of strange, but it's just the
No.
things
No.
I was
Yeah.
into. So
Yeah, I mean, I love what you said about like you would tape them off the TV and then create the artwork just to make your own version of the. Like we've all related
yeah,
to that in some way, you know. Definitely with Blu-rays, especially myself, and I did a few DVDs back in the day and stuff. But yeah, it's we always just it's your collection. That's the benefit. And I think that's maybe what your dad was getting at in terms of owning every film that maybe you want to have on your shelf, so to speak,
yeah,
rather than every
yeah.
now. Yeah, it's an interesting concept, I suppose. And I wanted to ask you because I know you're a fellow dad yourself now, as well, and I'm obviously a newer dad than yourself. Is it now with your kids? Are you like showing them about Blu-rays and DVDs and like do you make it like an event? Like I guess like our parents used to. Like I don't know about you, but my parents are very much like go to the video cabinet. What are we going to watch this evening? You know, is a whole thing, or even go to Blockbuster. You know, back in the day. Do you do the same thing now?
Um, it's a bit of a strange one because my lad, he's got autism. It's not high end. He understands things and everything,
Right.
but it's kind of weird. Like he doesn't really sit still sometimes. He
Yeah.
always wants to be on the move. But there was a long period where he just watched Finding Nemo over and over again. So I'd say that's the first film he's really watched. But I've never really sat down with him and watched one. He's getting on to 5 now, but he's kind of getting into the PlayStation and everything, so he is relaxing a little bit. So I'm gonna try and attempt it very soon.
Yeah.
And my other lads, he's only 2, so
Yeah.
it's
Bit of
kind of
time.
hard
Yeah.
for him to keep still. But I'm hoping in the next year or two, or next 6 months even, we can try and start doing that a little bit more. So
Yeah.
especially with the 2-year-old, he's going on 3 soon. So I think that's about right there, right age where they start maybe getting into films and stuff. But they watch things on the telly.
Yeah.
I've just never really sat down with them and wanted and watched the film with them. But it's something I'm really looking forward to doing at some point, hopefully, and showing them some of my favorite ones. So,
Yeah.
how about yourself? Have you been doing that?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I mean, I did have my little one down. God, how old was she? She must have been like 5 days old, and I put her in a high chair when she was asleep, and we put The Force Awakens on. So I count that as her first film, and just she didn't watch it, but it was just weird to sit there with her. And she's now there's this Puffin. It's called Puffin Rock show on Netflix that she really likes, and so I'm sat there watching that, and it's quite cool. You know, it is quite cool to sit there and like see her engage there. But I'm really excited, and I don't know about you, but every time she comes in this room and she sees like all the films, you just see her like eyes looking around, like wow, like what's going on in here? Like the
Yeah.
posters on the wall, and you know,
Yeah.
it's a whole thing. But obviously, I'm a little bit behind you in the sense of probably about a year and a half behind you in the sense of your youngest. But yeah, still really looking forward to it. And I guess that kind of brings me on to the horror aspect because, like, you know, obviously there may be certain films that you want to show your little ones, but you might not show them for a good couple of years yet. In terms of your love and affection and affiliation, I suppose, with horror. Was that always a thing? Like, did you watch horror from a young age, or is it just something you kind of grew up with? When because you seem to be like the horror guy, you know, in the space, I suppose. And that's what I think about it, anyways.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm an expert on horror. There's a lot of people who probably know a lot more than me, but yeah, I've loved it since a very young age. I remember how it started actually. Like I said, I had them VHSs, and they were mostly like movies like Aladdin and Jungle Book and stuff like that. And I heard these 2 kids when I was in about year 4, I think, in school,
Mm.
saying about this Freddy Krueger guy, and they were talking. I was just listening in, and they were talking about all the ways he's died at the end of these different movies and what he gets up to, and he's got this bare face and this hat, and I was like, I didn't even know these movies existed. What the hell is this? And I just went home and just said to my mum, I need to watch this film. All the kids are watching at school, and she just said, you've got no chance. And I remember agonising wait for about 2 to 3 years of asking her if I could watch it, and she just wouldn't have it. So I don't think it was till like I think it was about 10 years old, 9 years old, maybe. I don't know how old you're on year 4, to
Mm.
be honest. But I think it was around 9 years old where she finally gave in, and my dad came home and he had Nightmare on Elm Street 3 for me on VHS, and I watched it. and that was it. I fell in love, and I think a lot of them couple of years of not being able to have something I wanted maybe pushed me into it a little bit more. But when I finally started watching it, I just fell in love. And my friend next door, he had a lot of films as well on VHS, and I used to go to his house and sort of sneakily watch them at times when I weren't probably meant to. I wouldn't say A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 was the first horror film. It was probably the first horror film I watched all the way through, but I did go to my friends and sneak over and watch little segments of Friday the 13th here and there. But yeah, I just fell in love, and I've loved it ever since. It's just my favourite genre. I don't know what it is. It's just,
Yeah.
I don't know. I like the easy watches of the slashers, but I like all these new sort of iterations we're getting with horror these days. There's lots of new clever films coming out and everything. Yeah, I've just always been a fan, so it is my go-to genre, really.
Yeah.
So, in terms of what my kids watch stuff, I might ease them in some with like maybe The Witches, or family friendly ones a little bit, and then maybe move on to like The Lost Boys or something like that. But I don't think my wife would be too happy if I put Terrifier on or anything like that. So.
I was gonna say, did your other half like them as well? Like, do you watch them together, or is it just yourself? Because my other half hates horrors. Anything that's like a thriller, really, she couldn't even get through. So you together in that, yeah.
Yeah, my wife is into horror. Yeah, the moment I met her, she said, "Oh, they're her favorite film." So that was a good little thing to have in common, I suppose. But yeah, it's weird. She's quite tired of a night because she's been a mum all day, and she just kind of just goes, "Oh, go on, put what you want on." So really, I have got the reins of the TV, but she does get into the films after she's had like 10 or 20 minutes on her phone. So, but it's basically up to me what we watch every night because she's not really that bothered. But she comes to cinema with me all the time and everything, so she does like her films, but I don't think she's invested as much as I am.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons why I asked that is because like horror for me seems to be a genre where like, both people kind of got to be in it, because either some people that really don't like it or they really love it. I find it hard to find people that's maybe in that middle ground, because it is a particular taste, isn't it? Because I used to get scared at the horror films as a kid, but I'm assuming you probably didn't. In year 4, wanting to watch The Nightmare on Elm Street, you probably never. Have you ever been scared at a horror film? Is it ever, or is it just
Oh yeah, yeah. There was some like when I got Nightmare on Elm Street. My mum was finally okay. Watch what you want now, basically. So my dad got me Candyman out the video shop, and it was a little bit extreme. There was one moment where this kid is attacked in a toilet. I don't know if you've seen Candyman.
No.
So this kid is attacked in the toilet, and the camera pans in and goes in the toilet. It's like this most little disgusting sort of isolated toilet in the middle of nowhere, like in the middle of like this big rural area. And there was blood all over the floor, and I freaked out and ran downstairs and went, "What the hell have you got me here?" And he was like, "Oh, I thought you'd be all right with it," but it terrified the life out of me. So yeah, there has been moments where I've been terrified. I watched the Blair Witch Project with my mum and dad one night, and I was awake till about 4 a.m. with that one, man. I'd never seen like a found footage horror film before, and it felt real to me. It was just the way they advertised and everything. Like everyone in school was going, "Oh, this film's meant to be real" and stuff like that. Couldn't sleep that night, but it's very rare these days that horror scares me, to be honest. What about yourself, mate? Do you ever get scared by it when you watch it?
Yeah, quite a few times. I mean, I think I've evolved. I kind of laugh at horrors a little bit more than I used to now, maybe, because it's just a bit more like, maybe I'm thinking about it from the filmmaking point of view, like on the set. I think there's a video of weapons where the one guy's on the floor, and they're just this person behind the scenes just pouring this like fake blood onto the face or whatever. I'm thinking about it from that point of view. Do you know what I mean? What was it like on set that day? The latest one I've seen is Obsession, where I really like that film, but like she's standing there and she's peeing herself, but there's like a tube was going in, and that's what's making it. So I'm thinking about it from that point of view, So would you say your taste in horror has changed over time, or has it always remained relatively the same?
I've always liked all horrors, mate, to be honest. I think slasher is definitely my favourite. I just like the simplicity of it, and I grew up with Freddy and Jason and Michael Myers and stuff like that. But I'm willing to give really any horrors a go, to be honest. I mean, I'm not too big on the possession sort of exorcism movies, to be honest, because I think they all just try to replicate The Exorcist, and they never get there, to be honest. There's some good ones here and there, but I'm still willing to give anything in the genre a go, really, to be honest. So, my tastes, it's kind of hard to say because I kind of like all of it, to be honest,
Yeah.
really. The darker the better, I'd say. I mean, like, if it goes down, like, comedy horror can work for me, but I prefer it to be more horror focused, if you like. But yeah, I give anything a go in the
Yeah.
genre, mate, to be honest. Yeah.
That's fair. So, what's your thoughts on, and I guess the physical media side of horror? Because especially for myself, I'm more of a casual horror watcher. I do go and watch horror films in the cinema, if one takes my interest, etc. But horror and physical media is quite an interesting one, whereby we definitely get Blu-ray releases of horror films, but we don't really get 4Ks as much. Is that something that you quite critical of, or is that just maybe you might know a bit more about that kind of thing in terms of the release side of things?
Yeah, it does my head in, to be honest, mate, sometimes, because they seem to release it and then maybe they'll bring the 4K out a couple of years later, like Renfield, I think was it Renfield? I think that may have got one, but I believe there's a Heart Eyes 4K on the horizon now as well, I
Oh, I love
believe.
that film. Yeah, it's
And
a good film. The Blu-ray.
yeah, they only brought the Blu-ray out. So sometimes I am tempted to just not buy the Blu-ray and just wait. But then again, you kind of don't know if they're definitely going to release it. So it's one of them. You don't know whether to go with it or not, do you? But in the end, I gave up with Maxine because I thought these are definitely going to come to 4K. They're definitely going to come to it. And I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna buy Maxine on Blu-ray. It doesn't matter. And then the day I bought it, Second Sight released. Second Sight announced Maxine and the other one, Pearl, on 4K. So
Yeah.
it's annoying, but I don't know if they're being careful, because I don't know. Like, physical media is like sort of. I think it's more catered to the likes of me and you now. I don't think too many people go in Asda or Tesco and pick them up because they don't even sell the damn things.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're being careful with whether they want to release it on 4K in case people don't buy it, or seeing how the sales go and then maybe doing it. I don't know. I don't know what the thinking is behind it, to be honest.
Yeah, because I don't know if it's linked to potentially box office, because I don't know if, like, horror films don't tend to be the biggest box selling, box office hits. I suppose, outliers like Scream, which we obviously know Scream 7 is probably going to get a 4K release, or it already is announced in terms of the Steelbook pre-orders and stuff. And then other ones like the Strangers trilogy, we had the first one in 4K, but then the other two we never did, and now they're just on Blu-ray. So it must be frustrating as like a lover of horror for yourself, that you kind of get lost really and like left behind in terms of that 4K release. So yeah, I wanted to bring that up and ask, but yeah,
it's definitely frustrating, definitely.
Yeah. So with that then, do you think that there's some like potential for the future of horror releases, whether or not that's through like boutique labels potentially? Like, I know there's a couple out there, but is that where the space might be better suited for the genre, I suppose, in terms of those collector's editions?
So do you mean like a boutique label just doing like the new modern horrors? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, so to speak. Yeah, so to speak, or something along those lines.
Yeah, I think so. I think Second Sight do quite a few of them. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be against that if a boutique label just concentrated on doing boutique releases for new 4Ks and stuff. But I think Arrow have always been good with the horror. I know a lot of them are cult horror releases from the 80s and everything like that, but I do think they were mainly horror at one point. I still think they are. They don't really... They grab new releases, don't they, Arrow? But they're more indie titles. So, yeah, I would like a label to certainly just, when the next big horror comes out, just say, yeah, we're putting that on 4K. That'll be a lot easier for everyone, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like the likes of Midsummer, which was a bit of a hit with a lot of people, that I don't even think we've had a 4K of that over the year. I might be wrong. I think I've only seen the Blu-ray.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you have any rare expensive horror titles in your collection? Anything that's like very sought after, let's just say?
I mean, I've got big box sets of Friday the 13th, which goes for quite a bit of money from Scream
Mm.
Factory in the US. Got the Elm Street box set, but I don't know how rare they are. Rare titles. Oh, I mean, bit of off the cuff, not off the cuff, but on the spot question, I
No,
suppose,
yeah, yeah,
James.
yeah,
None that really come to mind. I probably have, but
yeah.
I'm just looking
No, that's
around
fair.
now.
That's
Um,
fair. That's fair.
yeah,
You look very
I
much
do
into
have
your
rare titles in my collection. I just don't know
yeah.
of the horror ones.
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. And like, I really like your memorabilia behind as well. That Pennywise with a balloon. That's pretty cool. I don't know if that's is that actually a real balloon. Like, did you have to blow that up? And
It's actually a lamp. It's you can
oh
switch it on
right,
and turn it
okay,
on with the light.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
that's cool.
and
That's cool.
that's a pop Funko
Oh, so
Pop
they're
below.
not linked. I thought they were linked. They looked like they were like that was holding the balloon.
Oh
Yeah,
no,
makes sense. No,
no, they're not linked at all. I've just put them
yeah.
there because it's the same sort of film.
Yeah,
Really.
yeah, yeah. No, it looks really cool. That was just a bit of a distraction, but yeah, it looked
Yeah.
really good. So have you ever bought a horror film purely because I don't know the packaging looks good or something? Because I feel like you're somebody that would go to every horror film in the cinema before then buying it. So is there any films that you? I guess are you down to a blind buy for horror or is it cinema first
Um,
then watch?
yeah, it's weird. Like I said to you before, James, my collecting habits have changed a little bit over
Yeah.
the years. I did used to blind buy a lot of horror, especially Arrow titles, because I just loved the artwork on them. So a
Mm.
lot of my Arrow titles are probably blind buys. Not so much no more, but yeah, the odd time I like. There was one called Uncle Peckerhead, which I think that was one of the latest ones I bought on 101 Films. I just looked at the cover and went, "Yeah, I need to have this."
Yeah.
So yeah, there's the odd one. There's the odd one, but I wouldn't say I do it as much as I used to. But yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of my adult titles were blind buyers,
The
I'd
blind
say.
buys. Fair,
Yeah,
fair.
but Arrow are doing the job, aren't they, with the artwork? So
Yeah, yeah, well, yeah, they are doing a really good job in fairness, and let that long live that continue, 100%.
mm.
So, Movie Worm then was where you started. Now, I say that you're still doing Movie Worm, but Movie Squirm then came about. Talk about that. How did that come up? Come up?
um, so I wanted to come on YouTube mainly to do retro horror reviews, and for some reason I just started reviewing everything on Movie Worm, which probably isn't the best idea to be honest, because I think sometimes you got to have your channel focusing on not one main thing, but a couple of main things. And I'm just reviewing all these different genres and everything. And I just thought it can work. It can work. But I just thought I'm going to do some retro horror reviews now. And they weren't getting the biggest views in the world. Like I'd done the Evil Dead 2. And I thought, hmm, like I really like a place to just do horror stuff now. And I thought maybe if I just do horror reviews on a different channel, it will sort of propel a bit and get better views. And for a while they were. Like a lot of my older horror reviews were getting better views than they were on Movie Worm. But it's kind of up and down now a little bit with the
Hmm.
both channels, to be honest. So I think YouTube's getting a little bit more. This isn't an excuse. I just think it's getting a little bit more difficult these days than what it seemed to be when it first started. If you like,
Yes.
I don't think you find it that way though, James. You seem to be growing very well, to be honest. But um, I I think I'm in and out too much lately with when the kids come along. To be honest,
Hmm.
especially when two of them come along, I find it really difficult at times to find the time and stuff. But I always try and find that time, even if I haven't got it. But
Yeah. Yeah.
obviously, when I first started, I had a lot more time.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I relate to you in the sense of like I used to do movie reviews and similar to yourself, but I kind of stopped there and kind of pivoted, I suppose. I was getting bored. I was getting bored, so I just kind of try and change it up, change the channel, 2 or 3 months, see how it goes, and then if it all goes pear shaped, just kick it in, like kick it in, so to speak. And I'm glad I did. Obviously, I kind of changed just to be a bit more physical media because I never really did physical media stuff really in terms of what I liked, and it comes back to what you like movie Squirm is a really good concept, and it's executed really well because you really like horrors and it comes across really well in your videos because you're very knowledgeable in it, so people are then more inclined. And like for me, I was way more inclined with like the technology behind films and like Dolby Atmos and Dolby Vision and the tech, the techie side of it. all of that. And I think that's why it's worked, because you kind of, you know, it comes across then this person's clearly passionate about it, he knows a lot about it, and it works, you know, so to speak. So yeah.
Yeah, I even though I've collected all these films over the years, I am nowhere near as knowledgeable on the technical side of things like yourself, mate. I just, yeah, Dolby Atmos and all that. I'm just there's people I watch and I just go, wow, they know all their stuff about this format and stuff. I've just never really delved into that much
No.
myself, but mate,
Yeah.
if you got the knowledge, you do it. You know what I mean? And I think physical media, a lot of people do like that. Like they're probably me most popular videos over on Movie, the pickup videos and stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
And I have tried to sort of condense that down lately to just doing sort of physical media. I do the odd little latest watches, but physical media, that's mainly what it is on that channel now, to be honest. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think people like watching physical media stuff, don't they?
Yeah, it just I remember used to think, oh, it costs too much money, so I need to do movie reviews to kind of spread the load of the videos out. But now, yeah, now I'm just doing all physical media, so it's one thing after another. But the horror community, you know, because you obviously created movie Squirm, but the horror community really feels like a much more loyal and like connected community. Would you agree with that, in terms of like there's this particular fan base around it? So having a channel around it is quite, you know, it's definitely the right way to go potentially.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about community, online community, yes, everyone seems very nice and is
Yeah.
into it as much as I am. But when I really connected with some people is when I went to the For the Love of Horror. You know, it's kind of like, I think you've heard of it, haven't you? It's like kind of like Comic-Con, but it's a
Comic-Con.
horror one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone there was just really nice. Like you think all these people are into people getting killed and stuff, but they're the nicest people ever. And spoke to so many people there. It was just a joy to, share the love and everything. But yeah, on the online community's been great on that channel, and hopefully it'll continue. The horror fans are great. I think we all share. It's great when you find people who share the same passion, whatever it is, I suppose.
Yeah, because it's very much parallels to me. Like I know quite a lot of people that are Disney adults, let's just say, and they love Disney and all of that. And horror is very similar to Disney, obviously very opposite to Disney in that sense. But you know, loyal, dedicated to the cause, so to speak. It just seems to be different, like more than, you know, potentially sci-fi fans. Potentially, you know, sci-fi is like, oh, I go and see it every now and again, but horror is like, I don't know, if you like horror, I feel like every week there's a horror movie out, people in horror will go and see that horror movie. Like it's just different. Whereas if you like sci-fi, you wouldn't maybe not necessarily go to every single sci-fi or comedy or, you know, that kind of thing. It just seems a little bit different, you know. Which I say having a channel about it's I guess the right way to go in that space.
Yeah, it does seem like everyone's talking about the new horror movie every week. Like it does look like horror fans are loyal, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, and you did touch on earlier about, you know, lifestyle and all that, but do you feel the pressure to kind of keep up with every new horror release every week, or because I guess there's some on streaming as well that you like to, you know, check out and watch, etc., and review. Is there a certain pressure there that you have?
Like I felt pressure on Movie when I was trying to review everything. That's when I felt the real pressure, and I've kind of stopped doing that now, and I just review horror. Not so much, no, because I like to go and watch the new horror release anyway. I'm gonna go and watch it. I find it harder to edit these days with the time. Like I'm editing on work and my break, especially when you do like a top 10 or something. That's when I start feeling it, because I'm like, okay, I've recorded it, but now there's still a lot of other stuff to do. I can edit a movie review in half an hour, really. I mean, it doesn't take me that long. But yeah, it's the editing that really sometimes gets to me, especially on the longer videos. But I don't feel the pressure now, because I'm going to go and see the new release anyway. Even if I don't think it looks that good, it's horror, I'm into it, I'm going to go and see it. So
yeah.
No, but it was a bit different on Movie where it was like I was going to see films that I weren't even bothered about, because I felt like I had to go and review it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And then I guess just got a couple of things just to like basically just to wrap it up on, in the sense of modern horror films. They tend to, as you said, they come out every single week with it feels like anyways. Do you feel like modern horror films can often be better than people maybe give them credit for? Because whenever somebody says horror, always goes back, I feel, to like the 80s, 90s, maybe 70s. It feels like you got to go and watch these. Like, nobody ever really says anything that's like in the last 10 years. It feels like, to me anyways.
Yeah, I actually think we're in a golden age of horror now, to be honest, with some of the films we've had in the last few years, like The Substance and stuff like that. But there is also a lot of garbage that comes out as well, like especially some of the Shudder releases. Don't get me wrong, there's some great Shudder releases, but yeah, there's a lot of crap I watch as well. I put up with. So, but again, like I said, I don't mind watching it because it's horror. But I think I think modern horror is in a very good place at the minute, a really good place, especially with the slashers coming back, like Terrifier and stuff like that. Kind of loved Alien Romulus and stuff like that. There's been some great ones this last couple of years, I think. So I think people say this like the 70s and 80s, don't get me wrong, they are the golden age of horror. They are, but a lot of people were saying like horror wasn't very good in the 2000s, and now a lot of people are looking back on that saying it was actually a really good decade. So like I watched The Hills of Eyes the other day, the remake, and I thought this is an amazing film, and then I started looking at all the 2000s horror and was like, there's actually some really good stuff here. So sometimes I don't think people appreciate the decade maybe till a few decades later, if you get me. And I think a lot of people may think about in maybe 10 or 20 years that this was actually a good decade. So I think a lot of people like that with films in general now, though, aren't they? The amount of times I hear people go, oh, films are just terrible these days. I don't agree with that.
Yeah, you wait till we get to 2035 and then you'll be looking back and saying, actually, 2025, 2026 was actually not too bad, actually. Star Wars comes to mind with the prequels. Everyone hated the prequels in the early noughties, 99, etc. And now everyone's like, oh my God, yeah, they're really good. I'm big into Star Wars.
Do you feel the same, do you, about films in general now?
Yeah, no. I think people don't really live in the moment, I suppose. I think cinema's on a real... especially the last 12 months, it feels like, with things like Sinners and Weapons, they, and The Substance, mainstream, and you've mentioned Romulus, but like mainstream horror-y, elementy kind of films, that are mainstream and doing really well, like, that just never felt like it happened before, so there's certain examples, I think, where, the genre is getting the love that it deserves. And hands up, I've always been really honest on my videos that like horror is the one genre I never watched as a kid. Even when I was like 17, 18, when I could watch the films, I never wanted to. I was just like, I don't like horror. And particularly I bought like the Art of the Fearful Blu-ray collection of all the horror films, the slipcovers and stuff. To have like things like The Exorcist, Candyman you've mentioned, the original It film, there's a couple over there, I can't see, Friday the 13th. But I've got them all then, in this one thing to kind of watch. I still haven't. I'm kind of keeping them for Halloween this year to really have a big watch. But there's a lot there that like I've not experienced. It's the one genre I need the most, let's say, knowledge in. But yeah. So let's end it on, what horror franchise do you think is completely overrated?
What one do I think is overrated?
Yeah. Say what you feel, George. Say what you feel, George.
I think just let me think 1 second.
It can still be quite good. While you're thinking, it can still be quite good. It can still, but it's just,
People might hate me for saying this now, but I think I don't want to say it. Look, Friday the 13th, they're not very good films, but they are very easily digestible films. They are just turn your brain off, 90 minutes, the same thing happens over and over in every single one of them, virtually. But I enjoy the hell out of it. However, they are great films. There's some people who think some of the Friday the 13th films are just like the greatest thing ever. I personally don't think that. But they are very enjoyable. Halloween is another one where there's a lot of bad entries in there. And people, like, that is the Star Wars of the horror universe, where people will never, ever agree. It's so divisive. And, people just go on as it's like this holy grail of horror. I'm not quite sure with that. I think, like, Nightmare on Elm Street and, like, Child's Play, for me, personally, are better franchises than that.
Mm.
But I would say one of them two, but I
Yeah.
still like both of them if you get
Yeah.
me.
Yeah,
It's a tough question, that one, James.
No, yeah. There's more bad in some franchises, isn't it, than good, which is I think what you're getting at, you know, in the sense of maybe Halloween. I think I've seen the original, and I've seen the ends and kills that end, you know, the other ones. But I've heard that the ones in the middle, because they kind of retconned them, just for somebody who doesn't really understand, but they kind of retconned them, didn't they, by releasing the 2018 Halloween. Again, so there's like more bad in the whole, as I said, the franchise as a whole, but they could have one amazing film, but the franchises, yeah. Anyways,
there's a lot of horror franchises that go in all these different directions and don't make sense, to be honest. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is the worst one for it.
Yeah, because they've got loads of films, haven't they? In that one, there's a lot.
Some of them, just a lot of them aren't even connected or anything. That's weird.
Yeah. And it does feel like the horror does seem to be the genre where they remake a lot of things, or they reuse the title and then rehash something out many years later. I do feel like that crops up a bit. But anyways, that has been great. Thank you so much for coming on, Jordan, over at Movie Worm / Movie Squirm. All links to the channels are down below, all of the socials and everything. So if you are interested and want to get more from your horror fix, or you know, just physical media stuff, there's multiple channels as we've discussed on the show today. Jordan, thank you so much for coming on and being part of the podcast. And thanks everyone for watching. Stay tuned for more episodes coming soon. And of course, please just subscribe. See you soon. Bye.
Yes, thanks for having me, mate.